Thank you, Rich, Leanne, Nick, and Brandon for leading the honored guests into the hall. Would you please remain standing for the playing of O Canada? Please feel free to sing if you wish. Please be seated. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 45th Annual Peterborough and District Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony. My name is Linda Dejoux, and it is my pleasure to welcome the 2025 Hall of Fame inductees, their family, their friends, and invited guests to tonight's ceremony. Before we begin, we would respectfully like to acknowledge that we are on the traditional territory of the Mississauga and Anishinaabe people. I would ask Hall of Fame member Paul Wilson to come to the podium to deliver a toast and words of remembrance.
Good man, Barry. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, if I could first ask you to stand for a moment of remembrance of those distinguished members of this Hall of Fame who have passed on to another world in the past year. So I will read out their names. Bob Allen, Paul Brown, Jack Carpenter, Steve Casey, Joyce Corner, Elaine Hewitt, Iris Kelly. Just a moment of silence, please. Thank you very much for that. You may ask, and it's a very reasonable question, why a twit like me is giving the toast to His Majesty. Well, the reason is, the last time I did it, I forgot he was the king. I said, toast the Queen. So he phoned the chair, Tim Barry, and said, I want Wilson to get it correct this year. So thank you, Tim. To my way of thinking, the Peterborough Sports Hall of Fame is the finest institute of its kind in this country. And I congratulate the committee on the work they do. And part of that wonderful Canadian mosaic, sporting mosaic, that this institution is part of, a further part of that is the mosaic of having particularly at this juncture in the world situation, a toast to the monarchy in this country. So I would ask you to rise again, please, if you're able. Thank you. A toast to King Charles III. Long may he live. your help. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Paul, for the toast and your kind words of remembrance. With the election of a new board this year, we saw the passing of the chair's baton from Patricia Bronson to Tim Berry. We would like to thank Pat for her dedication, her leadership, and years of service to the Hall of Fame as she continues in her role as past chair. I now invite Tim Berry, 2013 Hall of Fame inductee and chair of the board, to bring greetings.
Thank you, Linda. On behalf of the Board of Directors, I do congratulate our new inductees, and we welcome you and your guests to the 45th induction ceremony. The Sports Hall of Fame is 100% volunteer operated. We have a group of 45 dedicated volunteers who staff and maintain the facility. We are proud to recognize two of those volunteers tonight who have greatly contributed their time and skills to the success of our club, or our Hall of Fame. A committee of 12 select new members each year from approximately 250 applications that we have on file. We thank those volunteers who put many hours into that selection process. We would not be successful without the support of the cooperation of the City of Peterborough and the Memorial Centre staff. They are the best landlords that one could ask for. Our 12 dedicated board members completed our first strategic plan this year. We have identified many projects that will support our 4 pillars of focus. Those pillars being relationships, operations, finance, and marketing. One of those projects was the initiation of a school visit program. Under the direction of Jennifer Berry, we have had 440 children from different schools visit the hall. We have also opened the hall to teams and clubs, hosting 32 separate events this year. Our finances come from donations, from bequeaths, and fundraising. We thank Doug Gibson once again for heading up our golf tournament, which is our largest fundraiser. We raise funds to not only cover the monthly expenses, but to build resources to allow us to move to when this grand old building comes to an end. For many of you, it will be your first time in the Hall of Fame. We have over 1,500 artifacts currently on display at any one time, including exhibits of our newest members. So please take some time for a tour before you leave tonight. And finally, I would like to thank our events committee, led by board members Carolyn Cameron and Diane Sargent. This is the first time that we've used the floor of the PMC, and that committee has created a wonderful event. So thank you, and enjoy the evening.
Thanks, Tim. The Sports Hall of Fame includes athletes from both the city and the county of Peterborough. Would Bonnie Clark, Warden for Peterborough County and the Deputy Mayor of the Township of Otonabee South Monaghan, come forward and bring greetings from the county?
Good evening, everyone in Rural Heights Challenge, so I'll pull this down. So on behalf of Peterborough County, it's certainly an honor and a pleasure to extend heartfelt congratulations and warm greetings to all gathered here this evening. The esteemed Peterborough and District Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony has always been something that I have always wanted to attend. What a legacy, 45 years, and I want to stop and ask you to give a round of applause to all the board and committee members that have put 45 years of service in. I know that with Tim at the helm, it will remain in good hands and will continue to be a fine example across Ontario and indeed across Canada. This event is a highlight in our community calendar and a moment when we pause to celebrate the extraordinary dedication, talent, and spirit that define athletic excellence in our region. As I said before, I've always wanted to attend this, and this is the first one as warden that I've been able to. The last two, I was outside of Peterborough County representing the county, so this is a highlight for me in my term as warden. Tonight, we are not just honoring individual achievements, we're celebrating the very essence of what makes our community strong: perseverance, teamwork, passion, and the relentless pursuit of greatness. To our incredible inductees, each and every one of you. Through your unique journeys has not only pushed the boundaries of your respective sports, but has also inspired individuals across our community, from aspiring young athletes to seasoned enthusiasts. You have shown us the power of dedication, the beauty of competitive spirit, and the profound impact one individual can have on a community through their chosen path. Peterborough County watches with immense pride as your names are etched into the history of this Hall of Fame. Your legacies will serve as beacons, reminding us all of the heights that can be reached with unwavering commitment and passion. Thank you for your incredible contributions, for making us all proud, and for being so outstanding as role models in our community. So I'll close by a little off the side of my speech and say, today I attended a graduation where students were acknowledged for their academic excellence, and our granddaughter, unbeknown to her parents or grandparents, actually got one of the awards for that academic achievement. However, she chose to go to her lacrosse tournament today, unbeknown to the rest of us. So sports rules in the Clark family as well. So on behalf of Peterborough County, congratulations once again to the class of 2025. May your achievements continue to inspire generations to come. Enjoy this well-deserved evening of celebration, and thank you all on behalf of the county.
Thank you, Bonnie. I would now invite Councillor Gary Baldwin to come to the stage to bring greetings on behalf of the City of Peterborough.
I think I'm okay. Well, thanks, Madam Chair, and good evening, everyone. It's always a difficult task to follow the Warden of Peterborough. On behalf of Mayor Leal and the members of City Council, I want to bring greetings and thank you for your attendance at tonight's ceremony. The Peterborough and District Sports Hall of Fame is certainly an institution here in Peterborough. I want to also take a minute to thank all of the directors of the Peterborough Sports Hall of Fame, the volunteers, the selection committee for all of their efforts and preparations for this evening's event. To the families, friends, and supporters of tonight's inductees, thank you for supporting them along the way. And to tonight's inductees, Frank, Paul, Darl, Andrea, David, and Bill, and our honorary members Mike and Paul, congratulations on your induction and your achievements into the Peterborough and District Sports Hall of Fame. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. There are a couple of housekeeping items. Washrooms can be found in the East Hall. If you need assistance or have any questions this evening, there are volunteers throughout. Please feel free to ask for assistance if you need anything. During the ceremony, if you would like to take some pictures, please feel free to come forward. but also keeping in mind that Dan Malta from Your TV is recording the proceedings, and the ceremony will be available on Your TV, as well as the Hall of Fame YouTube channel, and there will be pictures and bios of the inductees available on our website as well. The Sports Hall of Fame has more than 349 inductees. Most are inducted in one of two categories, athlete or builder, and we currently have 9 individuals who are inducted as honorary members. Would inductees who are present tonight please stand and be recognized? In order to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, an individual must be nominated. All applications are received and judged by the induction committee made up of community members. The committee then presents their slate of nominees to the board of directors who approve the selection. We have 6 new inductees tonight and 2 honorary members to introduce to you. Each of tonight's inductees will receive a Norman Knott framed Thunderbird print, which you see displayed on center stage. I will announce each individual in alphabetical order. Inductees, if you could come to the front and join Tim as I speak about your accomplishments. After receiving congratulations from Tim, you're welcome to come to the microphone to speak. And so without any further delay, we'll get started with our first inductee. Paul Day. Paul is being inducted as a builder in lacrosse. Growing up in Peterborough, Paul came up through the minor lacrosse and hockey systems and played football for the Kenner Rams. He was a 5-year member of the Junior A lacrosse team, the Maulers, who were Minto Cup champions in 1986, and Paul captained that team to another Minto Cup championship in 1989. In those 178 games as a junior, he tallied 156 goals and 254 assists. A defensive specialist, Paul was recognized as the Ontario Lacrosse Junior A Best Defenseman in 1988 and 1989. Following his junior career, he went on to play senior lacrosse with Vancouver, Whitby, and Niagara Falls. Paul won a major international lacrosse league championship with the Buffalo Bandits in 1992 before turning his talents to coaching and team building. Over his 18 years with the Rochester Nighthawks, he coached them to 4 national titles. He was named NLL Coach of the Year in 2004 and inducted into the Rochester Nighthawks Hall of Fame in 2009. His next stop was moving to the Philadelphia Wings of the NLL as head coach and general manager. In 2020, he was named General Manager of the Year and awarded the Les Bartley Award, which recognizes him as Head Coach of the Year. After the 23-24 season, Paul stepped back from coaching to focus on his role as Wings General Manager with the plan to build a championship contending roster. In the NLL off-seasons, Paul coached the St. Catharines Juniors for 3 years, the St. Regis Indians in 2009, and was an assistant coach with the Brampton Excelsiors in 2010. Paul's love of lacrosse extended beyond playing and coaching, as he also instructed lacrosse schools and clinics in the Niagara area, as well as in California. In 2007, at the World Indoor Lacrosse Championships, he served as the assistant GM for the championship-winning Team Canada, and went on to be the assistant coach for the team in 2011 and 2015. In 2015, his hometown Peterborough Lakers offered Paul the general manager position with the goal of adding more Mann Cups to this historic franchise. During Paul's tenure, the Lakers won Mann Cups in 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2022. Paul is a Kenner. Paul is a Kenner Collegiate Wall of Fame inductee for lacrosse and football, an inductee in the Ontario Lacrosse Hall of Fame in 2017, and the Canadian Lacrosse Hall of Fame in 2020. His accolades will now include 2025 inductee into the Peterborough and District Sports Hall of Fame. Congratulations, Paul.
As you can see, I don't really like people talking about me, but anyways, I just want to thank the Peterborough District Sports Hall of Fame for this honor and the committee, and also congratulate all the 2025 inductees. For a kid growing up in the South End, not far from here on Hamilton Street, I actually worked here 40 years ago as a rink rat for probably 5 or 6 years. Great job. But this place for me was like the Montreal Forum in the 70s and 80s, watching the James Gang, the Petes, the Lakers, PCOs, the Red Oaks play and win here. We just wanted to follow and duplicate with their legacy. You know, the Habs winning all those championships at the time. Here in Maple Leaf Gardens was like that, but I was born in '68, so I really wouldn't know about that. Going into the Hall of Fame as a builder, it's a great chance to celebrate all the people that helped us, you know, all of us get up here today. I do have some family connection. My uncle, my great uncle Pete McGillen was inducted in '95. My mom's McGillen, born and raised in Peterborough. We like this name so much, we named her son McGillen Day, so we call him Mac. Growing up in a family with 5 kids, parents both worked full-time jobs in Peterborough and drove us to hockey, lacrosse, everything all over the province, early morning practices, so it really taught you about work ethic. And then being the youngest of 5, I had 2 older brothers that shot lacrosse balls and pucks at me day in and day out. It was a great learning experience, not only to learn to be tough, but also probably saved my parents tens of thousands of dollars because I didn't turn into a goalie. And then I had 2 sisters that really took care and coddled me, you know, showed me a little bit of empathy after those days, but it was a great time to grow up here in the South End. Kids growing up in Peterborough at that time, myself, we'd ride our bikes every day to the bowl. I think it was called the Knights of Columbus Bowl at the time, but now the Legacy Bowl. You know, and then to someone's pool, play baseball somewhere. The winter time, we'd be at the outdoor rink skating. As soon as we got home from school, down the street, skate all the way down the street and McKellar and play hockey. And you know, I've got friends. Mike Morrissey's here. He's a world-renowned umpire now. Kerry Huffman, inducted 2 years ago. Played hockey with him. You know, he's in the NHL, still working. And you know, several other friends that did well. You know, because of this community, I would say, and the people that taught us, you know, how to be great people. I think we had great teachers growing up. I went to St. John's in Kenner. You know, growing up, our dads were our coaches, and then once we got into our teens, you know, it was really the guys that were playing junior or senior in their 20s and 30s. So for me, it was like Danny Dunn and Johnny Martin. We were in PB all the way through, really taught us about the game. And then in junior, they coached us for 4 years. We went to 4 Minnow Cups, won 3. You know, Paul Evans, Mark Vittorelli, Lee Vittorelli, Terry Downer, I think who just passed a few years ago. They really taught us about winning. And I can tell you a story, 1986, it was our first Minnow Cup. We had 10 guys, we were second-year players, and we're in Coquitlam. It's a 3-team tournament. Victoria had already been in the Minnow Cup the last 2 years and lost to Joe Nieuwendyk and Whitby. And the Victoria was more experienced, and they had these 2 identical twins that might have been really, really good across Paul and Gary Gate. And they were better than us, but our coaches were so smart. They closed the arena every day, and we practiced zone defense for the 1-game final. It was 7-0 after 2, and I think we won 11-7. So, and that was kind of taught you about teamwork, and teams were more important, you know, than the individual. And we've carried that on. Excuse me. You know, every team I've gone, that comes from here. And then fast forward to, you know, obviously I was in pro lacrosse a lot, but coming back to Peterborough, 2015, The Lakers are basically a pro organization, from the directors, the sponsors, the volunteers. If you're a player here, I tell, a player that we might trade for or draft, or a Peterborough guy, we usually have about 16 of our 25 guys, and they're in the NLL. They come here, they drop their equipment off in the dressing room. The equipment people take care of that NHL style all year. They show up to the game with their sticks, everything's hung up. That doesn't happen anywhere else. And those little things. Our players would have ice baths in the back, massage, hot tub, and these are all volunteers that are doing this. And there'd be ladies cutting fruit for in between periods for the players to this day. On a bus trip, you'd have fruit, you'd have a hot meal going to the games. That's, the difference in winning. And I think that's a Peterborough culture. So, to the board of directors, the coaches, the players, the volunteers that are here, that's why there's so much success. And I truly think if there wasn't a world pandemic, we would have won 6 in a row in 20 and 21. We would have won those ones too. I truly believe that. So, working with, I started in St. Catharines coaching through Rochester, Edmonton. Didn't mention a few. I got fired in Edmonton and a couple other places. Orlando. That happens. It's great. But the players, Orlando, obviously back to Rochester and then Philadelphia. The coaches and players, I couldn't name them all. Just, the best in the world that I got to coach or coach with. And it's so happy to see these guys when I go to a tournament or I go and see what junior A game. These guys are all coaching pro, minor, junior A. I see these guys at tournaments. And for hockey people, it'd be like watching, Mitch Marner while he's still playing in the summertime, coaching a youth team. That's how lacrosse players are. So unbelievably fortunate to coach with so many great people and coach so many players. And then we talked about my family. I met my wife in 2009. Introduced to the game in 2010. We were in Orlando coaching. Pretty good place to coach. And then since that time, we were both police officers working as, working uniform shifts or whatever we were working. Shift works. She's raising a teenage daughter, and we had a son in 2011. I'm on the road working shifts back and forth. It's a lot. She just retired November 1st, 2024, after 30 years as a police detective. So, but going through all that, since I met her, pretty much won the lottery because I think my son was born in 2011, obviously for family reasons, but also lacrosse. 2011, we won a world championship with Canada. 2012, 13, and 14 with Rochester, 3 in a row. 15, Team Canada. We missed 16, but 17, 18, 19, and 22 since I met her. So it was a pretty good run. So if you're looking to hire any lacrosse coaches, maybe talk to my agent, Angela. And she was very good luck for me. But I just really want to thank, obviously, the committee, but really the players, the volunteers, the coaches, the board of directors that I've worked with before, and all the volunteers that are involved in lacrosse. And thank you very much.
Our next inductee is David Lane. David is being inducted in the athlete category for water skiing. Born in Peterborough and raised in Apsley, David attended public school in Apsley, high school in Lakefield, and earned a degree in chemical engineering and a PhD in biology at the University of Toronto. He started water skiing at the age of 15 on Jack's Lake, and in 1954 he finished first in a novice water ski event at the CNE. In 1957, he was chosen to represent Canada as a member of the national team to compete at the World Championships at Cypress Gardens in Florida. The team finished 7th, and 19-year-old David placed 22nd in the overall competition, 18th in tricks, 19th in jumping, and 31st in the slalom. David got his first major championship win in the overall and tricks category at the 1958 Ontario Water Ski Championships held in Bobcaygeon. In 1959, he earned another first in jumping at the Bay State Open Championship before traveling to Milan, Italy, where he competed in the World Championships. In 1961, the World Championships were held at Long Beach in California, and the team finished in 8th. David won the men's overall at the North American Water Ski Championships in 1966 and was a 3-time Canadian champion, 1959, 61, and 62. Among his many championships, David was Canadian Water Ski Champion, closed and open events. 1957 Eastern Canada Water Ski Tricks Champion, and 1961 overall and tricks champion, and he took a 3rd place in the men's jump. In 1962, he was the overall tricks champion. He won the 64 Ontario Open, finishing 3rd in the slalom. David won the 1965 Ontario Open and finished with a 3rd in tricks, and in the 1965 Canadian Championship, he finished 3rd in the jump. Now, if you're asking what all of these are, he's going to tell us in just a minute. In 1966, the Canadian Invitational, he was overall and tricks champion, and at the Ontario Open, he finished 2nd in overall and 3rd in jumping. He was the first Canadian to compete and to complete the wake toe hold trick in competition at Saint-Agathe, Quebec. In the late 50s and early 60s, David organized and participated in water ski shows and demonstrations throughout Ontario and Quebec. He starred in the annual water ski shows at the CNE, showcasing his water skiing skills, demonstrating barefoot, shoe skiing, tricks, jumping, flying saucer, kite flying, clown tricks, and skiing doubles with a female partner. He was acknowledged as world champion in the art of kite flying and one of the finest show skiers in North America. A member of the Canadian Water Ski Association, David was still skiing into his 80s, and in 2024, he was inducted into the Canadian Water Skiing and Wakeboard Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome David into the Peterborough and District Sports Hall of Fame.
Thank you so much to be recognized. Can you hear me okay? How do you win a water ski championship? There are 3 events, and my favorite was trick skiing, and in Europe it's called les figures. It's very similar to figure skating because series of turns, you hit the wake, you jump up, you do a 360 or more if you can, and you have 20 seconds each way. So you could try and squeeze in as many tricks as you can in 20 seconds and then 20 seconds back. So that's the first event. The second is slalom, where there's a set course and the speed increases until 36 miles an hour, so the skier is hitting 50. And then they start to shorten the rope, so making it more and more difficult. So that's the slalom event. And the jumping, how far can you go? The ramp is 6 feet high, 20 feet long, and the boat is going 36 miles an hour, so the skier is hitting 50. So it means you rise 6 feet in a little less than 1/10 of a second. So it's like somebody threw 200 pounds on your back. So you go about 15 feet in the air and your land is like jumping off the roof of your house. Anyhow, I had a piece of the Canadian record way back when, but they're going much further these days. So anyhow, you add those 3 events together, and you have to place in each of the 3 of them. Some skiers just ski in one event. So I was training for the North American, which I wanted to get in a couple of jumps before I went down to Lake Placid. and there was green scum all over the water and dead fish. And I thought to myself, why doesn't somebody clean up this mess? And then I thought, why don't you clean up this mess? So I quit my job as a chemical engineer and did a PhD in biology with a specialization in phosphorus. So who cares about phosphorus? The amount of phosphorus is directly related to the amount of green scum in the water. And so during my examination, I had probably one of the world experts, Richard Vollenweider. He'd worked in Sweden, he'd worked in all over Europe, he'd worked on the Nile, and I thought I was going to have a pretty tough time with this guy. But he slipped me his card and said, I think I have a job for you. He said that my work kind of brought the area to a new level. So that was good. I ended up running a group of 22 other scientists on the Great Lakes to help clean it up. And so working on phosphorus, other nutrients, and on toxic chemicals. So that was what I did for a number of years, closing out my career at U Ottawa, where I was director of program in environmental toxicology. The bottom line was Canada led the world in terms of research in this area. The United States copied, Europe copied, Japan, China. So globally, our lakes are now where people live are probably 80% better than they were when I was skiing in the old days. And bringing it back to close to home here in Peterborough, I thank the Peterborough Sewage Treatment Plant for recovering phosphorus from their sewage because it made such a huge change in the Otonabee River, but mostly on Rice Lake, which is now in much better shape than it was 50 years ago. So thank you.
Our next inductee is Frank Mazza. Frank is being inducted in the athlete category for wheelchair Paralympics. A native of Peterborough, Frank was born with cerebral palsy. Many people affected by CP can walk, but others, like Frank, need to use a wheelchair. In the early 1980s, Frank started wheelchair racing. Frank's CP impacted both of his legs and his right arm. He used his left arm only to propel his wheelchair, while always competing against two-arm wheelers. He competed in the Eastern Ontario and Ontario CP Games, winning many of the events he participated in. His success earned him greater opportunities. Team Canada designed a 2-year training program for him, and he was able to acquire a racing wheelchair. Frank's goal was to compete at the 1984 Olympics for the physically disabled, which at that time were called the International Games for the Disabled, equivalent to today's Paralympics. Frank surpassed this goal. At the 1984 Ontario Provincial Games, Frank won the 60-meter sprint, the 100-meter sprint, and the 400-meter sprint. That same year, he was a gold medal winner for Canada in the 4x100-meter relay at the International Games for the Disabled, held on Long Island in New York. In 1985, he was the recipient of the Rotary Club of Toronto Special Achievement Award for International Competition for the Disabled. And he also received certificates of achievement from the Province Ontario and the City of Peterborough. In 1986, Frank took part in the International Cerebral Palsy Games in Gits, Belgium, where he won gold in the 4x100 meter relay, silver in the 400 meter sprint, and bronze in the 100 meter sprint. He held national and provincial records in many events for several years. Unfortunately, in 1986, Frank's racing career was cut short by a cancer diagnosis. Although he beat the disease, he was unable to compete again. In 1990, Frank was inducted into the Ontario Cerebral Palsy Sports Hall of Fame, and in 2019, into the Cobourg and District Sports Hall of Fame. Fast Frank is a gold medal Olympian and a gold, silver, and bronze Paralympic World Games medalist. He started racing in '82 and represented Canada internationally from '83 to '86. Ladies and gentlemen, our third inductee of the evening, we welcome Frank Mazza to the Peterborough District Sports Hall of Fame. Accompanying Frank tonight is his coach, Doug Montgomery, who is going to speak.
Wow. My name is Doug, and I had the privilege of being Frank's chauffeur, coach, friend, and wingman while he was doing his racing career. The Paralympics used to be called the International Games for the Physically Disabled in the 80s, and there was no coverage of TV, so we have no record of Frank racing or any pictures of that. Athletes included the visually impaired, amputee, wheelchair, and cerebral palsy, CP. Frank raced in CP Class 3, which meant racers had 3 limbs affected, and as it was mentioned, his right arm, and so he wheeled with one arm, and you know, that was just amazing what he had to do. Everybody he raced against used 2 arms, but one of their upper arms would have been mildly affected. I watched these guys play basketball, and they could catch a ball. Their arms are so good, and throw and play basketball at the same time. So he was at a huge disadvantage. As well, all his competitors had the latest technology in racing wheelchairs, and no wheelchair company would make a one-arm racing chair. I approached all kinds of people, universities, to see if they would take it on. Nobody would make one. So we made some adaptations to his regular chair, and that's what he raced in. When he got to the higher level on Team Canada, we knew we had to do something, and we were at the Ontario Games, and we met a gentleman that was in a car accident, a great athlete and an engineering student. He made his own chair, so we approached him and convinced him to make one for Frank. So Frank and I went up and seen him several times at Stony Creek, and he made the first one-arm racing wheelchair in North America. When we were in Belgium, we saw a lady that had a one-arm chair, and hers was made 6 months before Frank's was. So Frank had the second one-arm racing wheelchair on the planet. When he got this chair, his times just got so much faster. He went on to be the fastest one-arm racer on the planet. At the 1984 Olympics, Frank met Rick Hansen, Mr. Man in Motion, who come over to look at Frank's chair, and he watched Frank race and couldn't believe that Frank could go that fast. And all the players on the team called him Fast Frank. That's what he was known as, Fast Frank. And Rick went and watched him race, and that was not unusual. Athletes and coaches from all over the planet at the World Games and Olympics, they'd see Frank and they would see him on the track, they'd come over and want to talk to him and look at his chair after, and people just couldn't believe that this man could take a one-arm chair and race so fast and stay in the lanes. Now, a few times he did go out and get disqualified. We want to mention that we're saddened to learn about the passing of your Hall's honored inductee, Elaine Hewitt. Elaine was on Team Canada with Frank, and she was a friend of ours, and we used to pick Elaine up, and all the training camps for Team Canada were in Windsor, and Elaine traveled with Frank and I and became good friends with us and traveled all over the world with us. She was a great lady. There was a lot of mention here of Frank's races, but there's one particular race I want to make comment about. Frank was the 4th fastest racer on Team Canada. He was a Class 3. Class 4 had no upper arm, and they were the fastest guys. Wheelchair racers don't pass a baton, but have an exchange box in their lane. So when the first racer hits the front of the box, he's yelling and screaming. Racer 2 can go to the back of the box. And the box is 30 meters long. But what's very difficult is these guys are flying. They hit the front of the box, they yell, their partner goes out the back, or the second one. They have to stop their wheelchair within that 30 meters and not go to the line because there's somebody there that will disqualify the team. Well, that was just so hard on them, but it was an impossible task for someone like Frank with one arm. So this meant Frank became the anchor for the relay team, so when he crossed the finish line, it didn't matter where he went, the race was over. And what was more interesting was Frank at Class 3 was up against every other country's Class 4. They always put them as the 4th guy. So Class 3 going up against the world's fastest top 4. Just a monumental task that he had. Mr. Doug Wilton was the manager and head coach for Team Canada for several decades, and he wanted to be here tonight, but he couldn't. But he sent a letter in support of Frank's nomination, and I want to read part of that. Quote from Doug Wilton: "As coach, this was perhaps the most exciting moment of my career. In the 1986 World CP Championship Games, we were in a battle for the overall championship with the United States and Great Britain. Both had larger teams than us. As coaches, we were very nervous about having Frank in the relay. He was the only CP3 racer on any of the teams. Plus, he wheeled so hard that sometimes he would go out of his lane, which would disqualify our team. We went with Frank, and he wheeled the most incredible leg of a relay imaginable. We won gold and set a new world record in a photo finish. Our team went crazy with joy and excitement. Everybody was at the finish line. We didn't know it at the time, but that gold medal gave Canada the overall world championship. Frank had won individual medals, but his contribution to the relay win was monumental." Continuing with Doug's quote here, "So few CP athletes have been recognized for their contributions, and they were incredibly significant. The development of the Paralympic program and the entire opportunity for people with disabilities to be integrated and included in all walks of life was spurred by people like Frank Mazza, who changed the focus from disability to ability. What you can do, not what you can't do. To me, Fast Frank Mazza is a true Canadian sports hero." End of quote. And to conclude, Frank, I want to thank you. He was so extremely competitive, one of the most, I played some good sports, and he was as competitive as anybody I ever met. I agree, Fast Frank, you truly are a Canadian sports hero. We had a blast together.
Thank you, Doug. And I would ask, this is Anna, Frank's sister, for a few words.
I just want to, can you hear me? Yeah. On behalf of Frank, I would like to thank the Peterborough Sports Hall of Fame for their committee and the individuals who bestowed this honor on him. I'd like to recognize Suzanne Ambrose Atkinson. She was the reporter, and she's here tonight. And her writing was the reason many learned about Fast Frank. Suzanne's articles became a history of his journey, and it was Suzanne who initiated the successful nomination. to the Hall of Fame. And to Doug, your commitment and dedication enabled Frank to achieve his Olympic dreams. Thank you.
Our next inductee is Bill Plager. Bill is being inducted in the athlete category for hockey. Born in Kirkland Lake, Bill moved to Peterborough in 1962 to play for the TPT OHA Peterborough Petes. He played the 63-64 season with the Lachine Maroons, recording 41 points in 40 games before returning to the Petes for 2 seasons. Bill turned pro with the Houston Apollos in 1966-67 season and played with the Memphis South Stars in 67 and 68. From 67 to 1977, Bill's career took him back and forth from the CHL, the AHL, to the NHL with the Minnesota North Stars, the St. Louis Blues, and the Atlanta Flames. He played a total of 294 games. He was a member of the 68-69 St. Louis Blues, Western Division champions, and the Stanley Cup finalist. Bill and his brothers Barkley and Bob played 4 seasons together with the St. Louis Blues, and Bill was a member of the St. Louis Blues alumni. During his pro career, Bill was named Best Defenseman, and in 1974 was named Player of the Year for the New Haven Nighthawks, and in 1975 he was selected to the AHL Second Team All-Star. Bill Plager was inducted into the Hockey Heritage North Hall of Fame in 2012 and the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame in 2014. After retirement from hockey, he returned to his off-season home in Peterborough and a job at Quaker Oats. Bill then gave back to the community in so many ways. He played old-timers hockey, horseshoes, and softball. He coached the minor bantam Petes to the OMHA championship in 89-90 season, and in 1991-92, the Pee Wee AAA Petes to a first-place league finish and an Eastern Ontario championship. He also coached Peterborough Junior Bees, the Junior A Pembroke Lumber Kings, the Lakefield Chiefs, at St. Andrew's Hockey School, and the PGHA Ice Cats Adam BC Girls Hockey. He was recognized by the PHL for his dedication to minor hockey in Peterborough. Bill Plager was held in high regard by all who knew him as a player, a coach, and a friend. Bill passed away in 2016. We now welcome his daughter, Dara Plager-Goslin, to accept on his behalf.
Okay, I'm short too. I would like to thank on behalf of my dad, Bill Plager. He would be honored to be getting this award. I was not around when my dad played hockey, but I got to experience things in a different way. I got to go to the Pete's game with them, AHL games. I even got to go to the Hockey Hall of Fame in Toronto for special events. But my best memory of him is actually in this building. Take me to the Pete's game or the junior, sit way up there in the grays. Told me this is the best seat. You see everything. Truthfully, I think he sits up there so you couldn't hear him yelling. I would ask him questions, talk his ear off, probably driving him nuts. Because when hockey was on, you did not talk to my dad. But I would watch him. I would see the joy and the love on his face, watching the game he loved. On behalf of my dad and my family, I thank you for this honor.
inductee is Andrea Prieur. Andrea is being inducted in the Builder category as an athletic therapist. Growing up in Peterborough, Andrea played many sports, but a knee injury turned her focus from competing to pursuing a career in the field of sports therapy. After graduating from St. Peter High School, Andrea completed a Bachelor of Human Kinetics, Honours Bachelor of Science bilingual at the University of Ottawa, and a Sport Therapy Certificate program at York University. She is a certified athletic trainer and therapist, a member of the National Athletic Trainers Association, and in 2008, she certified as a strength and conditioning coach through the National Strength and Conditioning Association. Throughout her impressive career, Andrea has continued to add to her professional resume through ongoing excellence and education. As a result of this experience, she has earned assignments with the Canadian medical teams for the 2012, 2016, and 2021 Olympic Games. She has also worked with athletes at the World University, Pan Am and Commonwealth Games, the Canada Games, and the Ontario Summer Games. She has served as Chief, Head, and Core Therapist for the Canadian Diving Team, Toronto International Track and Field Championships, York University Varsity Men's Soccer, Football, Hockey, Track and Field, and Women's Field Hockey teams. She has also taken care of athletes at the 2000 World Women's Hockey Championship, the Junior and Senior Canadian Figure Skating Championships, CPGA Golf Championships, National Cheerleading Championship, and many other sports at all levels, including locally here at the Trent Basketball Camp. Andrea has even served as head therapist for the Radio City Rockettes and as a personal therapist for actor George Hamilton. As a certified athletic therapist, Andrea's expertise is working with athletes. She has been privileged to travel the world treating amateur and professional athletes with various sporting teams and events throughout her career. Andrea's accomplishments, contributions, and leadership to her profession have been recognized by her professional associations and the athletes and sport organizations that she has worked with. Andrea is currently the Sports Injury Clinic Manager at York University and is a first responder instructor. Congratulations, Andrea, and welcome to the Peterborough District Sports Hall of Fame.
Wow, what an incredible honor. Honestly, when I got the call about being inducted into the Peterborough Sports Hall of Fame by Tim, my first reaction was, are you sure you have the right number? Because we only get telemarketers at this home line. To be recognized in the Builder category means so much, because it isn't about being in the spotlight, it's about helping others shine. Having always been behind the scenes, taping ankles, wrangling foam rollers, and yes, occasionally reminding athletes that sleep is actually recovery, I've been incredibly lucky to support some of the best athletes in the country. It's been a wild, amazing, and often very sweaty ride. It's been filled with early mornings, long days, moments that you definitely don't see in the highlight reels, like shooing chickens off of the field before a women's national soccer game, or hoarding a lot of Imodium so our team didn't default their game due to food poisoning. High glamour, folks, high glamour. So my journey in AT has allowed me to be immersed in university athletics for over 20 years. I started and graduated from York, as Linda said, thank you. I have a couple of athletic therapy mentors here who have taught me. I've had the privilege of managing teams of therapists, students, and support staff. And all along that way, I've also been able and fortunate to co-own 2 multidisciplinaries where I live with people who share the same passion for helping others. Tonight's really special though, as I get to share it with an outstanding group of inductees. Congratulations to each of you. Your accomplishments are absolutely inspiring, and I'm proud to stand beside you, even if I'm usually the one standing behind you holding ice packs. Of course, none of this would be possible without my amazing family, friends, and mentors here. You guys have been there through every games, every missed family party, cheering from the sidelines, sending a flurry of texts when you spot me in the background on TV. I'm so lucky to have a crew that celebrates every win and reminds me to laugh at the chaos along the way. To my parents, Don and Carol, your willingness to help hold down the fort while I was off somewhere with a therapy kit and a dream. Thank you for teaching me to work hard, show up, and give back. Your example shaped everything I do, and I'm forever grateful. To the three boys, Kyle, Tyson, and Bryce, who have grown up thinking it was normal to FaceTime mom at any international games and just have a general chat with high-profile athletes, and then ask them if they'd send some Olympic pins. I think I might have gained a little bit of extra drip the last couple of games when I told them I was working with skateboard athletes. You've rolled with it all, and I couldn't be prouder of each of you, so thank you. And to my husband, Mark, thanks for your endless support. He's been my biggest cheerleader, my roadie, and an occasional late-night pep talker. Since I have the mic, I'll just point out that my claim to fame sport achievement I have over him is a hole-in-one, so now we can cheer him as he's still chasing his. Finally, thank you to the Peterborough Sport Hall of Fame, the nominees, the nominations, the selection committee, the setup, and even this beautiful evening. It's an incredible honor. I may be more comfortable in a treatment room overall than under a spotlight for sure, but tonight I'm feeling grateful and truly humbled to be seen. Thank you, everyone.
Our next inductee is Darl Sutherland. Darl is being inducted in the athlete category for distance running. Growing up in Bancroft, Darl ran some cross country in school with little success. Success would come for him when he attended Sir Sandford Fleming College. With the encouragement of the late Dave McConkey and the Peterborough running community, he began to flourish. Between 2001 and 2005, he won one individual and two team cross-country gold medals, and two individual and two team silver medals. He was a key member in the Fleming Knights' team success when they were crowned overall OCAA champions in 2001 and 2002. He was an individual bronze medal winner at the Canadian College Championships in 2002 and 2004 with the Fleming College Knights, winning a silver team medal in 2004. He captained the team representing Ontario at the Canadian College Championships in 2004 and 2005, and he was a two-time All-Canadian College Athletics Association team member. In 2013, Darl was inducted into both the Ontario College Hall of Fame and the Canadian College Athletic Hall of Fame. As a marathon runner, he was nationally ranked over several years in the top 20 in 5K, 10K, half marathon, full marathon, and ultra marathon. He competed in the Boston, Philadelphia, and New York marathons. During his career, Darl has won over 130 races, some of which include marathons in Mississauga, Prince Edward County, Comrades Ultra in South Africa, and Amherstburg. His love of running has translated into an impressive 20-year coaching career. Darl is a Level 3 certified endurance coach with certification in all aspects of training high-performance athletes. He has coached several individual athletes and teams to national, provincial, and OFSA high school championships. He has coached the Fleming College cross-country and track teams since 2011, as well as coaching Special Olympians. To quote one of his many supporters, "Through all his greatness, his achievements, and success, Darl inspires others to be their best. He was an amazing athlete who became an amazing coach, one who has had a tremendous impact on the Peterborough and area running community. Congratulations, Darl, and we welcome you to the Peterborough and District Sports Hall of Fame."
Thank you. What an incredible honor to stand here today and accept this induction into the Peterborough Sports Hall of Fame for running. It's a moment that feels surreal because, like so many of you, my journey in this sport has been defined not just by finish lines, but by the people, the places, and the passion that carried me through every stride. First, I want to express my heartfelt thanks to all the mentors who shaped me, two of which stand among today's fellow Peterborough Hall of Famers, Raymond Dixon and Dave McConkey. Rama, your relentless energy, your deep well of encouragement, and leading with humility helped me see running not just as a sport, but as a way of life. And Dave, your belief in consistency, your quiet toughness, and your ability to make every athlete feel like the most important one out there, that kind of leadership left a permanent mark on me. I'm proud to stand beside you both. A huge thank you as well to AccuPed and Total Physio for being more than just clinics, but for being community hubs. You've helped keep so many of us in motion, whether that's recovering from injury or just holding our bodies together during the tough training blocks. Your support of local athletes goes far beyond what's seen, and today I want to shine a light on that. When I first found running, I was drawn in by three elements: control, freedom, and community. Whenever I was running, I could feel like I was the one steering the ship. No matter what else was going on in life, I could lace up, hit the dirt, and find clarity in the rhythm of my breathing and footsteps. That sense of freedom, that wild, open-air feeling of possibility is something I'll never get tired of feeling. But just as meaningful was the community. Runners are a special breed. We show up early, we suffer together, we celebrate each other's PBs as though they're our own. Injuries, of course, have been part of my journey as well. And while they forced me to slow down and sometimes step back, they've also opened up a new path: coaching. Being able to pass on the lessons I learned the hard way to help young athletes find joy, balance, and confidence in their own stride, that's become one of the greatest privileges of my life. To every runner out there, past, present, and future, I want to say this: you don't need a medal or a podium to matter. You just need the courage to show up, to run with heart, and to let the sport shape you. And when it does, hold on to that. Hold on to the joy, the grit, and the friendships, because they're the true prize. Finally, thank you to my wife, Crystal, who I met while running in Peterborough, and has never let me give up on my dreams, even during my darkest and hardest moments. and my son Felix, who encourages me to do better at everything I do and reminds me when I don't. And to everyone who believed in me, trained beside me, waited for me to finish at the finish line, and lifted me up when I needed it most. This honor is shared with all of you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
We would now like to recognize and welcome 2 new honorary members. The first is no stranger to those who follow the Peterborough sports media. Would Mike Davies come to the front, please? Mike started at the Peterborough Examiner in February 1992 as a general news reporter and covered court proceedings for several years before transferring into the sports department in October of 1995. He has covered 30 seasons of Pete's hockey and is entering his 30th year covering the Lakers. Mike's excellence in journalism has been recognized many times. He has received the following accolades: Canadian Press Certificate of Merit for his series exposing steroid use in Peterborough gyms and among teens. He was a finalist for the Ontario Newspaper Award in Sports Writing for his series on Roger Nielsen's life and career. He received an Ontario Lacrosse Association Media Award, a Gymnastics Ontario Media Award, and won the Trent Alumni Association Spirit of Trent Alumni Award. In 2009, the Peterborough Petes honored him with the OHL Milestone Award for covering more than 1,000 consecutive games, home and away. In 2012, he earned the Ontario Newspaper Award for sports writing for a series of stories, including a first-person article about his battle with vision loss. Mike's story has been profiled on Rogers Sportsnet hometown hockey broadcast and the front page of the Globe and Mail. Writing and recording the history of sport in this community has had no better ambassador than Mike Davies. He has covered all levels of sport to ensure that the citizens of this community know about our great sporting accomplishments. Mike's reporting and support has made a significant contribution to the success of the Hall of Fame, and we now welcome you, Mike, as a well-deserved honorary member of the Peterborough and District Sports Hall of Fame.
Well, I'm used to covering this event, not standing on this stage. So this is a pretty good feeling. First of all, I want to congratulate the class of 2025. I think you've all heard tonight what a worthy class that this is. I've been very privileged to have interviewed some of them and written their stories. I've been very privileged over my 33 plus years at the Peterborough Examiner to have worked with many great people, especially Mike Brophy, Ed Arnold, Bob Fever, and Dale Clifford. Mike was a friend before I even knew that journalism was going to be my path. He was a mentor and my inspiration to be a sports writer. When Ed Arnold hired me, he took a chance on a young guy with zero experience, but lots of enthusiasm. Ed's been retired, it's hard to believe, for 13 years now. The Examiner isn't quite the same without him, but I still lean on him to this day for advice. Bob Fever was my sports editor for 15 years. Bob taught me many tricks of the trade, and when I started to experience some vision issues around the turn of the century, Bob was my biggest advocate and my biggest supporter at the workplace. And Dale Clifford, I worked alongside for 25 years. He welcomed me into the sports department with open arms, and I value his friendship. These four men, they shared one thing in common. They had a great passion for Peterborough sports and the people who made it happen. The coaches, the athletes, the volunteers, and administrators. They were all present in 1979 and 80 to witness the birth of the Peterborough District Sports Hall of Fame. They valued it as an institution and a community asset. They chronicled its evolution. They attended every induction ceremony, every fundraiser, and every special event. When I came on board, it just seemed natural that I would carry on that tradition. In some ways, I feel like I'm being recognized tonight for simply doing my job. I also feel like I should be accepting this award on their behalf as well. This truly was a team effort. Having said that, I am truly grateful for this honor. It's a special night for me and my family, and I'm so pleased my family and some of my best friends could be here to share in it. In particular, my daughter Sarah. She is a huge, huge Edmonton Oilers fan, and she's just itching to get to the nearest TV. And of course, my wife Susan. On Monday, we will celebrate our 30th wedding anniversary. We were wide-eyed 19-year-olds 38 years ago when we first fell in love. I wasn't experiencing any vision issues at that time, and I don't think we really knew what was in store. It's not easy living with somebody who has a disability. I know that sometimes she probably thinks that I take her for granted, but Susan, I love you. I appreciate everything you do for me. I couldn't be here without you. Thank you. Peterborough is such a great sports community. I really don't have to tell the people in this room, but it's such a warm and welcoming community, and nobody knows that better than me. I've felt their warmth and their support. I have met so many great people, far more than I could name, but I'm going to name a few. In particular, Don Barry, Pete Dalladay, Gary Dalladay, who I first met as my Pee Wee hockey coach on the Ted Higgins Islanders, and Walter D. Clementi. I've shared so many hours with these guys, whether it was at games, in press boxes, in press rooms, on road trips. We've had so many laughs over the years, shared a lot of great stories, had some pretty heated debates, and I value their enduring friendships. Last, but certainly not least, I want to thank the Hall of Fame. Chair Tim Barry, past Chair Pat Bronson, and everybody on the board who felt that I was worthy of this recognition. It truly is overwhelming, and I can't thank you enough. Long live the Hall.
Our next honorary inductee is Paul Rochetta. Paul retired from Sir Sandford Fleming College as the Executive Director of Student Services and Registrar. He played many sports growing up in Peterborough, including hockey and golf. The son of Hall of Fame member Joe Rochetta, Paul joined the Hall as a volunteer in 2007. He has served many years on the Board of Directors, most recently performing the dual function of Secretary-Treasurer. Paul's contribution to the Hall of Fame cannot be underestimated. During his tenure, he computerized the financial systems, successfully managed the investment portfolio, the accounting and audit process, and managed the financial requirements of the golf tournament. Paul spearheaded the initiative to video record inductee interviews with Dan Malta, which can be viewed on our YouTube channel. Using the administrative skills he developed at Fleming, he established a structure for the Hall that will help it move into the future. Hard work and dedication were two traits that Paul brought to the Hall of Fame, and as a result of his commitment, the events and functions hosted at the Hall ran very smoothly. While Paul's term on the Board of Directors is complete, he continues to volunteer his time to the Hall of Fame. Congratulations and thank you, Paul, as we welcome you to the Hall as an honorary member.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. To my fellow inductees, my sincerest congratulations. It's truly inspiring to hear each of your stories, and an incredible honor to be alongside you tonight. I accept this recognition from the Board of Directors with immense humility. To join my father, Joe, as a member of this esteemed hall is something I'll cherish forever. There are many thank yous I need to deliver tonight. Don, you're going to be a little while yet. Beginning with the volunteers who are the heart of this hall. We're more than a team, we're a family. We operate with no paid staff, receive no government funding, and yet we are the finest community hall of fame in this country. It's incredibly rewarding to work game nights and hear compliments from visitors from across Ontario, Canada, and around the world. My sincere thanks go out to every one of you, the finest group of volunteers any organization could want, who make this hall what it is. We accomplish little without support of others, and tonight would not be possible for me without you. I am also privileged to have renewed acquaintances with inductees from sports we played or coached together in years past, and to have created new friendships with so many of the members. Sharing your stories, friendship, and support has given me far more than I could ever give back. Tonight, you, our new inductees, have become members of this amazing family. I encourage you to embrace it all. I want to extend my gratitude to our donors and golf tournament players. Your patronage is incredibly vital and deeply appreciated. I owe a special thank you to Pat Bronson. Pat was instrumental in getting me involved with the Hall in 2007 when she nominated me for a seat on the Inductee Selection Committee, and then to join the board in 2017. For 17 years, Pat supported my endeavors, and it was her nomination that led to this amazing honor tonight. Most importantly, I want to thank her for her unwavering dedication and leadership as a volunteer, board member, chair, and now past chair of the Hall. Her impact on the Hall and women's sports, both here and across the province, is truly remarkable. Thank you, Pat. I would also like to acknowledge Tim Barry. Tim has been an incredible addition to our board. I still remember the summer of 2022 when TB popped into the office to chat. After a bit, he asked if there was anything he could do to help. I must have been complaining about something that morning. I immediately seized the opportunity, saying, yes, stand for election to the board this fall. He agreed on the spot. I nearly fell off my chair, trying not to show how shocked I was. I remember telling Pat afterward, without having talked it over with her first, that we had just scored a huge win. And what a win it was. Tim Barry is an extraordinary individual. His lacrosse career is legendary as both a player and a builder. Tim is not only in this hall, but also the Ontario and Canadian Lacrosse Halls of Fame. As president and general manager of Merit Precision and Merit Realty, he brings a wealth of business acumen. Tim is also part of a group of community influencers leading our city toward a new sport and entertainment complex and the revitalization of our downtown. Man, and I thought I was busy. As you know now, Tim has taken on the role of chair of this Hall of Fame. I outline all of this only as an example to demonstrate the caliber of our board members who are charged with running the hall. We are in extremely good hands, all of us. Many have asked me why I'm retiring from the board. There are two main reasons, other than my term was up. First, I set a series of goals several years ago that I felt needed to be achieved to ensure our success. My purpose in life is to try to leave whatever I touch better than when I found it. I am proud to say that they have all now been accomplished. I also strongly believe in term limits to bring new talent to energize the organization. My stepping aside opened a seat for a new, fresh face to join the board to lead us into the future. With Tim and an extremely talented board, an organization that is very financially secure, we are well positioned to be part of that new sport and entertainment complex. Ultimately, my retirement is about friends and family. You wake up one day and realize far too many dinner parties and fishing trips have been sacrificed. You reach a point where you see your best friends battling serious health issues, and you ask yourself, what am I doing? To them, you have been a big part of the team. Thank you for being here tonight to help me celebrate. And Buxter, happy 70th birthday. And then there's my amazing family, all of whom are gathered here tonight. My youngest daughter, Stacy, her husband, Steve, and my grandson, Ollie. There were far too many days Stacy would text asking, "Are you home? We're dropping in for a visit." And I have to reply, "No, I'm at the hall." My oldest daughter, Megan, and my two beautiful granddaughters, Annika and Avery. Megan, I remember so many times you'd call or text asking where I was or what I had on, and I'd have to say, "I'm at," or "I have to be at the hall," knowing full well you were hoping for a different answer. And my son Michael, those missed weekends at the cabin. I might not be able to do the heavy lifting anymore, but I look forward to cooking you many of those special Sunday morning breakfasts you've missed so many of. Then there is Casey. When I was approached to join the board, I talked it over with her first. I told her it would just be a few hours a week, and she, being Casey, gave me her full support. Well, those few hours often stretched into 30, 40, and more. She has never complained. Her support has been constant through all the missed dinners, the quiet evenings and weekends alone, and her family events she attended by herself. Although I'm beginning to think she's seen enough of me now, she's frequently asking me if I'm going to the hall this morning. My gratitude for her is immeasurable. In a twist of fate, my decision to step aside when I did proved to be incredibly timely. Just before Christmas, we received news that would challenge us deeply over the next few months. And it was my turn to be there for her. I'm so relieved today to say that all is well, and to everyone who offered prayers and kind words during that time, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. To my entire family and all my dear friends, this recognition I'm receiving tonight is truly a testament to your patience, your sacrifices, and your incredible support. I simply couldn't have done it without you. In closing, I'd like to leave you with a quote from a poem. Yeah, me, a poem. That has propelled me throughout my career. The poem is by Margaret Elizabeth Sangster. It's entitled, "The Sin of Omission." The opening lines, slightly paraphrased, go, "It's not the things you do, but the things you leave undone that cause a bit of heartache at the setting of the sun." I feel like there are many yet. Thank you for this tremendous honor.
Thursday, May 22nd. It was a cold, rainy, and wet day, one in which most people stayed at home and were nice and warm. However, this was the day of Jack's 38th annual golf tournament, hosted by Kevin Carter and the Quarry Golf Course. Huge thanks to all of the players who braved the elements and came out to support this annual event. Special mention goes to all the volunteers, many of whom started their day at 6:30 in the morning and finished at 6:30 at night. It was not an easy day, but you persevered and represented the hall admirably. I would now like to call on Golf Committee Co-Chair Peter Robinson to come forward, please.
Thanks, Linda. Paul Rochetta made me cry, so I'm just trying to keep it together here. So I have two checks today to present to Tim on behalf of the golf tournament and the golf tournament committee. The first one is mulligans, and anybody who plays golf, which is probably the majority of people in here, mulligans are a very important thing in most tournaments. I can attest that I use 2 of them in our group. So we pay for mulligans for everybody. It's really in memory of Jack Gibson, who founder of this tournament, made this tournament go. So I'd like to present him first this check for $1,105 for the mulligans. They were well used that day. And secondly, I would like to present this check, which is the amount of money we raised for the Hall of Fame on that golf day, and it is $21,000. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. An evening like tonight requires a lot of organization, and we would like to thank the Induction Committee and Hall of Fame volunteers led by Carolyn Cameron and Diane Sargent. To the caterer, Andrew Eiston, Director of Operations here at the Memorial Centre, and to the Memorial Centre staff, thank you for assisting with the setup and takedown. Thanks go out to our media partners, Cliff Skarstead and Todd Van Donk of the Peterborough Examiner, Dan Malta of Your TV, and David Tanbui of Peterborough, Canada. Special thanks to Jacob Bronson for providing music, and to Grace and Braden for videotaping tonight's ceremony as well. When you came into the hall tonight, you filled in a ballot for a lucky draw. It is now time for that lucky draw, and I would ask Terry Lynn Johnson to come to the front with the box. I get Tim to pick one.
All right, and the winner is Mitch Morrissey. We actually have it locked up in the office, and I will get that to you.
Okay, cool.
Okay?
All right, congratulations, Mitch. Family, friends, and guests are invited to the East Lobby for refreshments and light snacks. The bar will reopen. Please feel free to wander through the hall to view the exhibits, and each of the inductees has a collection of their memorabilia to view as well. I would ask that you please remain standing and at your seats until the chair, Tim Berry, has led the inductees out to the reception area.